Let's plant an orchid on a rock. Okay, so firstly, I'm not gone mad. We are going to be planting an orchid on this rock. This isn't just any old rock. This is a lump of lava, actual volcanic, out the top of a volcano, lava, and it's very porous. And we're going to be using this as a mount for an orchid. And I think it's going to be a really, really interesting little video. I'm also, big news, I'm going to the RHS Orchid Show in London on Saturday as well, which I'm super excited. I'm going to be picking up some new plants from Ecuagenera. I've got some money squirreled away as well, so I'll be no doubt browsing all the orchid nursery, the suppliers or vendors up there as well, to find a few interesting bits and pieces. I'm going to be taking the camera along as well, so I can take some photos. I'm not sure how cool they're going to be about people filming in there. They'll probably be a little bit tetchy. It's huge. It's probably the biggest expo in the UK, so I'm very excited about that. I'm going to take the camera up there, take some photos of the orchids I buy, some of the vendors, some of the displays, and I think it's going to be really, really interesting. So back to the rock. So this lump of lava, it's a sort of a red piece of lava. It's sort of black on top where it's been sort of weathered a little bit. And I got this from an aquarium place that sells tropical fish and stuff like that. You can put them in tanks and it looks very attractive with fish swimming around it. And I was in there getting some other bits and pieces and just saw this and I thought to myself, well, that's a very porous piece of rock, okay? So that's going to hold water. And so I brought it home, I dripped water on it, and straight away the water was bubbling and I could see it disappearing into this rock. So this thing obviously holds a significant amount of water. So what I did was I left it outside, out in the rain. It's been raining here like non-stop for like 2 weeks. So I left it out in the rain and I thought, well, that'll wash any of those nasties out of it, hope leach some of the minerals out of it. And also it's really got a it's obviously absorbed a lot of moisture because it's really heavy, and definitely wasn't that heavy when I bought it. So it was only a couple of pounds or a couple of dollars. We should be able to pick up something similar like this out in the States. So I thought, how cool would it be to mount an orchid on it? And I know you can get orchids mounted on lava. I've seen them. You need to shy away from the sort of black stuff, the stuff that's like literally like fresh igneous rock. Apparently it's too mineralized and the orchids don't like it. But it's got a sort of like pinky red hue to it. Some bits of it are black. But I think it's going to be great for this. So what I'll do is I'll grab some bits together. I'll grab the orchid that we're going to be planting on it, and I'll have a little bit of a chat about what we're going to do next. Okay, so laid out in front of us, the things that I'm going to be using to do this video. What I've got in front of us is, this is the piece of lava. If I bring it up to the camera, hopefully you guys are going to be able to have a sort of a closer look. Here's the piece of lava rock we're going to be using to mount the orchid on. Here's the orchid I've got. It's a very sad but slowly hydrating kiki of Dendrobium speciosum. This is speciosum, but it's compactum. It's like the dwarf version. You can see it there on my fingers. So you've got some nice healthy roots. Some of the root tips are just kicking into life as well. They're sort of going green as if getting ready to sort of grow and extend. And it was at work and it was looking really sad and it had fallen off the mother plant and was just lying down. So I picked it up and thought that would look pretty good if we could mount that on that rock. So that's the orchid we're going to be mounting. Got a trusty fishing line. This is one of the diamond core bits. If you watch my DIY terracotta orchid pots, I use one of these for drilling into the sides of the clay pots. And we're going to use that because I think the best way of doing this, to give it the best chance possible, is I'm going to take some core bits out the top of it like that. And what I'm going to do then is I'm going to pack some sphagnum moss, some hydrating sphagnum moss, into like a little pocket in here. I might do two to do like a hole at the top and then one at the side here. And hopefully that's just going to give us a little pocket where I can basically act a bit like a reservoir. Sailmaker's needles as well. These are fantastic, these ones. It's just easier using the fishing line if you've got something that it's attached to rather than just trying to tie line. It's a real pain in the backside. I haven't got my glasses on, so those are the things you're going to need. So the first thing we're going to do is I'll get rid of these things out here because we're not going to be using these guys straight away. Bye bye Mr. Orchid, you can go and sit in there. What I was going to do is I bought this tray because what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill it and I think just have a quick look at which way around I would want to view it. I want to view it like this. This is a good angle for looking at the rock. So I'm going to drill some holes in here like this, And I thought if it does make a mess, like I said, this has been soaking out of the rain, so hopefully it's not going to take create too much dust. And if I do it in this tray, it's going to hold a lot of the mess. So what I'll do is I'll get a drill set up, I'll put this on the table, and then I'll zoom you guys in and we'll see whether or not I make a complete faff out of this or not. Okay, so I've got a drill ready. The, what is it, diamond cutter is locked in the chuck nice and tight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off really slowly, like that, just to make a bit of an imprint in the stone, and then I'm going to speed it up, and we're just going to go to the depth. That's probably about just over an inch deep, and then I'm going to core into the rock and see if I can remove that core. So we've got that little pocket. So I'll move the camera down so hopefully you guys can see this. Okay, so I've made a very small indentation in this rock now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to speed the drill up and see if I can make it bigger and a lot quicker. Okay, so my first observations is it was kind of hard to start off with, and then got noticeably much quicker and a lot easier to drill into. Basically, once I'd gone just a few centimeters into the actual rock. So I think the rest of this is going to be much easier. Before I snap this core out, because that's going to be tricky, I'm going to have to use the actual core bit when it's around the bit we've drilled to snap it off. I'm going to do another one just on top up here. Okay, so that's those holes drilled. What I'm going to try and do is see if I can snap these bits out. There we go. Hopefully you guys can see that. What I've done there is if the camera's going to focus, I've just put the core around it and just wiggled left to right, and these little cores just snap straight out of there. There we go, like that. Take that out of there. Right, let's have a look at what I've done so far. Sorry the lighting's so terrible. Let's have a little look. So that's the hole so far. You can see that's the sort of size of the hole next to my thumb. I think what I'm going to do is just do one more just here. So we've got like a sort of a round, so they'll be in sort of a delta formation. So I'll take another core here, and then we'll have like a nice deep pocket. Okay, and there we have it. So we've got sort of a delta formation of cores taken out of it. So what we're going to do is we're literally just going to stuff that area using the sphagnum moss. But we'll do that up at the side where we can all see. Right, so we've got our rock. We've got our rock with our nice holes, our little cavity drilled in the top of it. The next thing to do is going to be to stuff that little void with sphagnum moss. Now I've got some of the sphagnum moss I showed you at the beginning of the video, and all we're going to do is just pack that in there. Pack it in there quite tightly like this. Like this, just pop it in, push it down, and we're going to want to allow a little bit of it to sort of splay over the edge. So we want it to sort of be proud of the void in which we've put it. Like this. Like I said, I think it really helped soaking the rock beforehand, before we did this. You know, I really made sure it sat out in basically torrential rain for a good week, maybe as much as a week before I actually did anything with it. And I think that's really helped. This definitely would have washed any excess minerals out. What I'm going to do now with the rest of this is I'm just going to build like a little pad, so like a mound of sphagnum moss on top. So it's going to hang out over the top like this, letting it get nice and thick. Now I would imagine the tricky bit to this is going to be when we try and tie the orchid on. I can imagine, I could already see, that's already got, sorry, my bad, that's got bits of perlite in it. I don't want bits of perlite in it. So a little bit more on there, like that. I think that's going to about do it. So there we have it. That's our rock with our moss pad on top. I'll zoom in, let you guys have a little look at that. There it is. So we've got like a little moss pad on top. the next tricky bit is going to be mounting our orchid on it. So, horrible noise. So we want to make sure we are mounting the orchid in the way in which we want to present it. The root's going to hang down on this anyway, so I think something like that is probably what I'm going to go for, with the orchid right on top. This guy will eventually sort of grow out and over this, and it will look very attractive in time. So before this guy falls off of here, because it's slowly subsiding, very slowly, and it's about to fall off the rock about now, we'll get some line ready and get the fishing line ready and a needle, and then we'll go ahead about getting this guy on there. Okay, so here's the finished article. This is Dendrobium speciosum compactum mounted on a rock. A nice porous rock as well. And it looks pretty good. I'm very happy with it actually. I've used some very fine fishing lines, so you can't really see it. You might just be able to pick it up on camera. It sort of runs up the sides here from underneath. Runs up, and I've been careful to leave those roots which are developing. I've sort of used these darker roots here which are, I can't see any growing tips on them, so I've basically used those to anchor it, and the line runs over the plant and through the other side. So it's going to be a bit of an experiment, but I think it's going to pan out pretty well. I'm quite happy with that. I think that looks really, really smart. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed that video. I think it's quite a fun one, this one. It's quite simple, quite easy, doesn't cost a lot of money, and I think it's going to be quite effective. But like everything in the greenhouse, it's going to be a bit of an experiment, so we'll just have to keep an eye on it and see how the little fella gets on. As for presentation, it looks fantastic. Well, I think it looks really, really good to see an orchid which will grow lithophytically in the wild growing on a rock, because if you can present these things looking like they do in their natural habitat, well, that's surely the best way to go, isn't it? So I was thinking about watering this guy. Watering from the top, I think it's going to be really well. Like I say, this rock's taken on a lot of weight since it's been sat out in the rain. Another good idea would be to put a tray underneath it or a saucer and keep it topped up with 1 centimetre of water, because that water's going to, as it evaporates at the top of the rock, because it will draw that water up. So you'll basically be able to almost keep it like a carnivorous plant, keep it in that water, keep a layer of water in the bottom of it, and then it will naturally wick up due to the porosity of the stone, and keep this sphagnum moss, because the moisture will be drawn out of the rock into the sphagnum moss. So that will hopefully keep the orchid nice and moist and give it something to root into. And hopefully in time it's going to work its way and root into all of these little crevices and stuff in the rock. So yeah, quite a fun little experiment, and I really enjoyed doing that one. So what I would say, yeah, so it's the RHS Orchid Show this Saturday, the 7th, at Linley Hall up in London. I'm going to be getting up there from about, I don't know, it opens at about 10, so I'll be up there about 11 o'clock. It's usually going to be pretty hectically busy for the first few hours, but I'll be up there. So if any of you guys are around, please don't be afraid. Come up, say hello, introduce yourself. We'll have a chat, a cup of tea, cup of coffee, who knows. And yeah, hopefully I'll see some of you there. Thanks again. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell as well, so you get notified when I do upload a video. And thanks for watching.